The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, callers, and advisors on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2026. All rights reserved.
Bahamians sweating through another round of power outages. Is there any relief on the horizon? Tonight, first-hand experience from Eleuthera and the CEO and manager of Family Island of BPL are here to speak on what's behind the latest bout of power outages. Those police officers accused of extortion in court today, we hear of their charges while the Police Staff Association speaks out. Meanwhile, another group of police officers appearing before a judge today on charges connected to cocaine. It's all straight ahead tonight. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Residents in Fire Trail and several Western New Providence communities are bracing for another round of load shedding tonight as Bahamas Grid Company continues testing associated with the installation of a new transmission line. The planned outages expected to occur in the 3-hour intervals come as frustration mounts over power interruptions across the island, New Providence. The work forms part of Bahama Grid Company's broader effort to modernize the country's transmission network, a project officials say is essential to improving the long-term reliability of the electrical system. However, those upgrades have faced delays, with government officials previously citing construction setbacks and other challenges that have pushed back key timelines. For residents, though, enduring yet another night of scheduled outages in the middle of an unprecedented heat wave, of course, the concern is no longer about what is being built or the modernization of the project, but how much longer they will have to wait for reliable power. Meanwhile, there is frustration in pockets throughout Eleuthera tonight as residents are demanding answers from BPL after enduring nearly 24 hours without electricity. The latest outage began around 8 o'clock yesterday evening and has left many residents struggling to carry out daily activities and raising fresh concerns about the reliability of power service on the island. Well, we're going to now get into that and hear from Eleuthera this evening. Joining me is Aldred Albury from Eleuthera. Aldred, good evening to you. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. It's good to have you here. I know residents, I'm part of a WhatsApp group that I think that you are the administrator or one of the administrators for. Thousands of Bahamians, rather hundreds of Bahamians and hundreds of visitors are also part of that group and have been angry since last night. How many areas remain off right now? Aldred, can you hear me? Guys, let's see if Aldred if we can get him on. Okay, we're going to get to him in just a moment. Pockets of outages remain on Eleuthera. Throughout the day, there were reconnections, and then almost immediately following that, there were outages. Just went out again, and people were very, very angry. When we have Aldred, please, okay, let's go back to him right now. Hi, Aldred. Good evening to you. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. Glad to be here.
It's good. How many areas remain off right now in Eleuthera?
Well, at last report from the Power Watch group, which is actually a group that my wife and I made, I think all areas are back on, or just about all areas. The last area was just north of Governor's Harbor. It's an area, what they call German Village, which is kind of between Banana Beach and Hot Point. Pardon me. That was the last area, and they were actually off from 8 p.m. last night till 7 p.m. today. So for a total of about 23 hours, they were out of electricity.
Now I've seen obviously in the group that you and your wife have created, and all over social media, people talking about how they've been impacted. Talk about what you know today, what you have heard, and how has business, life, just regular getting things done, how have they been impacted today?
Well, for instance, from last night at about 8 o'clock in North Eleuthera, the electricity went off. It was off for about 3 to 4 hours. Me and my family actually went driving in the car because it was so hot. But even after we came back home, it was still off. And when it finally did come on last evening, it was off and on all night. It actually went off 3 times this morning from about 6 to 6:40. So in about a 40-minute period, it went off 3 separate times. Um, regular things you couldn't get done. If you needed to, you couldn't iron no clothes with the electricity off. Businesses were impacted. Ironically, BPL's office in Governor's Harbor, where persons go to pay their bills, were actually closed today as well because of no electricity.
Well, I understand it's not just BPL's office, but I understand banks and other government offices everywhere shut down, including businesses, because there was no power and people could get nothing done, obviously.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. And the report from BPL said that one of their rental generators had tripped offline. BPL personnel, along with persons from the rental company, were working to get it rectified. They said that it was rectified sometime later this afternoon. However, there were still some areas that were out of electricity for various reasons. I know that it's a two-compound issue because while the generation shortage is an issue on the island once a generator goes down, the transmission and distribution network itself is also an issue because we always have various down power lines, blown transformers, breakers that are blown that have to be replaced because for the most part, the grid, especially in North Eleuthera, hasn't been upgraded since Hurricane Andrew in 1992, which right now we're heading on up to 34 years ago.
What? Well, anyway, I have the executives here. I'll ask you this final question. Have you heard how people personally have been impacted? For example, the elderly, persons with young kids. How have they been impacted all day?
Well, obviously they were impacted. I was actually contacted by a person that lives just north of Governor's Harbor, saying that they had been trying to get hold of someone to report an isolated issue in their area, which was the area that was out for 23 hours. She contacted all of the numbers for BPL on Eleuthera. She wasn't able to get any answer. She finally reached out to me directly. I gave her the number for the call center in Nassau. And she said the lady that answered the phone told her she would have to transfer her. When she transferred her, the person that came on the phone told her, "I'm sorry, we don't deal with Family Island issues." So I'm not sure if that was the truth or what was the reason pertaining to that, because their call center, I would assume, would be taking issues from all of the areas to pass on to personnel in those various areas.
Yes.
That there's an issue in that area.
Well, you have the CEO here shaking her head, agreeing with you that that is what is supposed to happen. So, Aldred, I thank you for being here this evening, for speaking with me. I'm happy that you all now have lights on, and I hope throughout the night, and that you can remain cool and comfortable. But I'm going to now switch this discussion to the executives. So go back in the group, tell them, tune in, so we can all hear what the executives have to say this evening.
Will do. Thank you, Shanique.
Thank you so much. Good to see you. Welcome now this evening to Beyond the Headlines, BPL CEO Christina Alston and the General Manager of Family Islands for BPL, Anthony Christie. Good evening to both of you.
Good evening, Shanique. Slight correction.
Yes.
And Grenada is no Bahamas. Here we have Madam Chair. She's a chair lady of BPL, and myself, I'm the Chief Operating Officer of BPL. CEO
So I have
is
the
Tony
chairman.
Seaman.
Yes,
Seaman.
the chairman of BPL,
Tony
Christina
Cracknell.
Alston, and also the Chief Operations Officer, Anthony Christie from BPL. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Anthony, what's going on in Eleuthera?
Well, again, overnight in Eleuthera, as stated by Mr. Albury, we had a T&D fault on our line in James Cistern around 8 p.m. and that impacted the power station at Hatchet Bay. So that took offline the customers in the north, what we call a northern feeder, as well as a southern feeder south of Hatchet Bay all the way to Governor's Harbor. So what the team immediately did was to locate the fault, which was in James Cistern. There was a neutral line that came off. They had to restore that, and then they began to restore the generation at the plant. We do have enough generation on the island in the north and in the south to cover all of the demand on Eleuthera. But when there's a fault on the T&D system, this impacts how we can get the power generated to the customers. So overnight, they were able to restore the north feeder. As they tried to close and restore the southern feeder, they ran into issues. In combination with the T&D fault, we had a generation unit that had a fault on one of its cylinders, so that had a mechanical fault on the engine. So that took that unit offline. But again, the rental generation that's there is enough to restore the island, but we still had additional faults in the southern feeder. So as they restored the unit during the daytime, they were able to locate 2 additional faults south of Hatchet Bay to Governors, in which they begin the restoration. So that took us from 8 p.m. last night until about a little after 4 today. So as Mr. Albury mentioned, I think we had a pocket or one street in a sense that was offline. So we were able to restore them and get all customers restored, again, in less than 24 hours. And I would say around 17 to 18 hours with the little pockets here and there. So our teams overnight now will continue to work to look at the system. We have some work, a planned outage in Harbor Island to help us in this regard, where we're going to correct the board.
When is this planned outage for?
Tonight, between the hours of 2 and 6, that has been posted. And this will again help us. So whenever we have an issue on the mainland, Harbor Island has enough generation to satisfy Harbor Island, as well as a portion of northern Eleuthera up until the airport or even Bogue. So we're able to basically lighten the load on the island in the north. We're able to generate supply between the airport and Governor's Harbor, and then Rock Sound plant generates and supplies the latter half of the island. So again, issues occur on the network, and our teams are there to address, and we try to minimize the outage. And again, we apologize for the inconvenience, especially during this hot time of year. Every day we see a heat index, a record being broken in terms of how hot it is.
In excess of 100 degrees.
We feel it. I mean, you feel it. It's never felt like this before. So that, again, impacts us, impacts our operation. But again, we are there to respond quickly and to restore as soon as we can to ensure that we keep the power on. And then again, a lot of work is being done across all the islands to improve and upgrade the network. Okay? So that work continues.
Anthony, you're right. Madam Chairman, people understand that. We've been hearing about this energy reform since last year. But what people are saying is this: why do the outages continue when we are being told that, listen, the situation is improving, this is what we're doing? See, it's quite frustrating. You said less than 24 hours. Okay, 23 hours then, that this power was off. In Nassau, pockets throughout and on and off as well. Why do we continue to hear we're on track, we're making great inroads and successes here, but again, people are in sweltering heat?
You know, it's interesting because our gentleman from Eleuthera said something, and it was very telling. He said, this system had not been worked on since Hurricane Andrew. So let's start with that. So we are trying to fix almost 2 generations of issues. I mean, let's have that conversation. I mean, the same things. So I myself was out of power 4 nights last week, and I put on my clothes and went to the control center, and I'm watching, you know, our gentlemen up there, and they're doing the switching orders, and we ourselves are customers as well, and we are right here in the middle of it.
So you're trying to say you sweating just like everybody else?
No, I think it's even more than that. It's us as a power company recognizing the fact that we are our own customers as well. We are also customers of BPL.
Yes.
And so for us, it's equally as frustrating. And it's even more frustrating because of exactly what this gentleman pointed out. We have so many legacy issues that we are trying to fix in such a finite amount of time. And right now, all of these issues are compounded by heat and load. I'll give you a really good example. So we're in the middle of having studies done, and one of the things that the persons have noted is that we in the Bahamas do not use energy the rest of the way the rest of the Caribbean does. We use energy like North America. Very much so.
What does that mean?
That means that we're probably the most energy-intense country in the Caribbean. That is the truth. So even though New Providence has a 1.5% load growth, we have a 2.5% demand growth. So we're seeing the demand raise faster than what we anticipate in terms of the amount of meters that are connected. So what does that mean for the average consumer? It's very difficult for us in planning right now to assess what these systems are going to be doing. And so we've now recently put in an entire planning department, and one of the things that they realize is that Eleuthera is actually, not only is it our fastest growing island, but it's growing beyond double digits. We are expecting an almost 50% additional demand in Eleuthera in the next 24 months.
No, well, we know Eleuthera has a
And
great
so
demand on
it
BPL,
does.
but the question then is, for example, even here in New Providence this evening, I read, as before I did the Eleuthera interview, about, again, planned outages
Right.
to bring a main sort of a source
To back online, yes.
online. Is there not a contingency plan that could be put in place to help relieve some of this, misery?
I think we need to go back to, planning, right? So you say plan, right? The plan was never for us to be in the middle of summer doing this work. Like we have to be very honest. The plan was for us to have finished this work before hot weather started. That was the plan. And unfortunately, we had an incident with our subcontractor where a young man lost his life, and that put us back 8 weeks. I mean, it literally put us back 8 weeks. So if that event had not occurred, we would be 8 weeks of where we are now.
And you would not have perhaps been experiencing all of this.
Absolutely. As planners, we usually have dates when we say these systems must be on. And they're usually April 15th to about May 15th. All systems must be up and running in case we have a hot May. And so right now for us, there are some things that we have said, this is too much of a risk, we're actually going to wait till the fall. But one of the things that we have to think about is what's happened now is, I tell everyone we're renovating the house and we're living in it at the same time, and that is the most and that is the most difficult situation that you just don't ever want to be in that situation. We don't have the option of moving out. We've identified 12 circuits. These are the circuits, these are the main lines that feed our consumers, and these are the ones that we know. Typically, there are 2 of them that may feed each other and they offload, but because we've had to take one because out of service, because we're working on that one, all of the load is now sitting on one circuit. And so when we see these circuit overloads, yes, to your point, well, why don't you have a backup? We do have a backup, but unfortunately we've taken those out of service because they are part of these ongoing works. So yesterday we had an opportunity to have the news in to show our big substation that many persons hadn't seen before, and you really can't see it from the road. It's over there by the new clinic that's being built in our Blue Hills, our Big Pond area, and that really is a world-class substation. If you go around the world, those are the types of substations, and that's the kind of substation that we need to continue to feed the load growth on this island as well. So when you're thinking about the rest of the world is growing at 1.5%, and we're growing here at 2.5%, 3%, some areas 10%, that is a lot for us as planners to plan for and keep ahead of, especially in times like this when it's compounded by such extreme weather.
Extreme heat. Will this new build out be able to keep pace? Because you're saying you'd be expecting a 2+% growth while the world is moving around 1%, 1.5%. Will we ever find ourselves here? Well, that's perhaps an unfair question, but you understand what I mean.
Yes.
As you can plan to see, will we find ourselves here again, sort of lagging behind and trying to catch up?
That's a great question. So we have the transformation of BPL going on now. We have a transformation office, and a part of that is, in fact, having a full planning division that we're bringing in software and teaching everyone how to do planning in the 5 and 10 year increments. I think that's so important because it takes us we can actually now forecast 5 years into the future, which means we can pull the trigger on projects so that they will be ready when that load comes online.
Realistically, if you both can answer this, what is the realistic timeline for this here misery? This same right here, baby, and right here.
In my magic bowl.
In the same magic bowl, yeah. What is the realistic timeline that residents can expect? Residents here in New Providence, residents in Eleuthera, residents who experience it intermittently elsewhere as well, that they can expect for reliable electricity service.
Right. So one of the things that we said yesterday is that we're at 95% completion. So what does that mean? That means that the build is at 95%. That doesn't mean that we're finished, because like anything, when you build your house, you have like your final inspection.
Right.
You know, you have your people come in, and we'll continue to do testing and commissioning, and that'll be till August. Now that does not mean that we will continue to see outages until August. That means that the foundational work will be done. What we have done is we've sat around the table and tried to get very innovative in terms of moving some equipment around. We have our 12 circuits that we know that are at risk, and we're actually putting some of them back in service. We know that that adds an additional risk, but we also know that that is what our consumers are looking at. So we've put our heads together in terms of moving some equipment around to make sure that we can offer more relief. Now, whether it'll be next Tuesday or the following Tuesday, I can't say. But one thing I do want to say, and I think this is the most important thing, is that BPL is a company of persons who are Bahamian, who are trying to get the Bahamas up and running.
We believe you. We believe
I
you.
know.
It's just
It's
vexing.
it's vexing and it's frustrating.
When you are soaked.
You are.
Anthony, I want you to step in, please, and just perhaps give some sort of word, because I'll tell you, when you're going through it and you are there kind of like melting,
It's
only thing you
miserable.
want is the light
Yeah.
on. So
Yeah.
if you can speak to Eleuthera and those residents in New Providence tonight who are scheduled for these outages.
Yeah, well, to all residents, again, BPL works 24/7. We have a call center that operates 24/7.
Who was that who did not take the person's call?
Well, the thing is, here's a good
I'm
point about
frustrated.
that. We connect people to people, not an automated system. So here it is, we call a number 225-5275. That's a 24/7 call center that anyone on any island in the Bahamas can call. They talk to a call center operator, and then they reach out to the person responsible, whether that be the local manager or system control or whoever. They say, hey, there's a problem on this street. They get all the information they need so that we can precisely address that issue. And that's happening. That's 24/7. I have a number of groups he mentioned exist, personal groups, community groups. We have channels that exist that are populated, that are monitored up until the time someone falls asleep. But literally, we watch and monitor chat all day in order to make sure that we know the problem and we fix the problem.
And even Family Island calls can get
Every
through.
single person in the Bahamas, 225-5275, someone is there.
And to the people, one thing I want to say to my fellow Eleutherians, because you and they're saying, okay, I know, my aunt Zeb watching. You know, next year this time is going to be a totally different experience. And let me tell you why. So we're bringing on 15 megawatts of natural gas engines into Hatchet Bay. So next March, those will be on the ground and they will be tested and commissioned. In addition to that, we're bringing on 9 megawatts of solar generation. We have all of those trailers are actually on the ground being unloaded. The ground is being cleared. So all of those solar panels are starting to be installed, and we have a COD, which is the construction date of actually Christmas Day. So we're moving. We're actually building a double circuit transmission line to beef up the circuit. So we are moving. And you have to watch. I know it's very difficult because you have to live with us through the move.
Yeah, we know it's, but you know, and I first of all, thank you, Madam Chairman, Madam Chief Operations, Sir, Chief Operations Officer. You know why? This is important.
Yes.
Because being hot is one thing, but not hearing from the top. And I don't mean the various channels that you use. I'm saying just like this. This is important to periodically do, so people at least feel like at least they're talking. At least we kind of know what's going on, even though it's vexing. So I thank you both, Chairman of BPL, Christina Alston, and the Chief Operations Officer of BPL, Anthony Christie. Thank you both for being here this evening. Thank you, and you're welcome anytime to speak to the people whenever you'd like to do that. Beyond the Headlines is backward after this. When we come back, we're going to talk about those police officers. They must be hard, eh? Those police officers who were in court today. We're going to talk about that right after the break.
Hey, it's your boy Charlie Bahama here at Superwash, Superwash's newest spokesmodel. And I'm here to tell you about Superwash's large capacity washers and dryers for all your big loads.
I know I see that Charlie Banana coming here just now.
Uh-oh. Luckily, it's also big enough for me to hide it.
I thought he was right over here where these large capacity washer and dryers is. They're big enough now to handle your big loads, you know. Yeah, like your comfort on your blanket. But just look at us. Somebody forget to turn on the dryer. Oh, stop! Help! You hear something? Yeah, that's the sound of clean. Superwash washes you, processes you, and entertains you 24/7.
Here at CBS Bahamas and the CBS Pro Store, we believe in our prices. That's why we offer our price match guarantee. If you find any of our items being sold for a lower price at any of our competitors, whether that's online or in store, let us know about it and we'll beat the price right there on the spot. No one does it like CBS Bahamas. Learn more at cbsbahamas.com.
My name is Charles Wesley Roll. My organic farm is Nice Layers Organic Farm. I have 230 birds up here. I give them fresh water, pumpkin, lettuce, cabbages, all the vegetables. Anything what I eat, they eat. Right now we sell the eggs for $7 a dozen from Monday to Friday. On Saturdays, you can get 4 dozen eggs for $21. I'll be located on Jamaica Road, the western side, Silverstone Primary School.
Surprise Dad this week with special savings from Grand Bahama Tile's Father's Day pop-up sale. For 2 days only, Thursday, June 18th and Friday, June 19th, enjoy 15% off store-wide. Give Dad that special gift with special savings just for him. Starting tomorrow, come in and save with Grand Bahama Tiles. Call them at 352-7920. Some restrictions apply.
Wealth should not only belong to a select few. At InvestStar, we believe the door should be open to everyone. We provide options for planning a better future. Our investment funds are designed to assist you in reaching your long-term financial goals. Let us show you how.
Everybody get up.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. It's great to have you all tuned in. I'm going to bring in the Hot Topics panelists right now so that we can quickly get to the show and get to some very important areas to discuss. Welcome, Michael Turnquest. Good to have you here. Ruben Raming, good evening to you. Howard Johnson, good evening to you as well. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, colleagues. Good evening, Bahamas.
Hi, Howard. Good evening.
Ruben, it's been a while. Good to see you.
It's been a while, my brother.
I'm so happy to bring y'all together. It does my heart, Troy. It does my heart very well. So, gentlemen, let's quickly go over this BPL thing. We see, and it's vexing. We know what's happening. We know the heavy lift involved. We know that this energy reform has been talked about since last term and the work that's being done. We even heard during the break them talk about what's on the ground and what additional things are happening right now. But listen, when the lights are out and you've got to sit through that, it's a bit vexing, isn't it?
Most definitely. Shanique, I think, I've worked in utilities, being in telecom for some time. And, it's not an easy job. When you spray your utility companies throughout so many islands and you have so many generation plants, I'm pretty sure, and legacy plants at it. So, it's definitely a challenge, I think, for them. I was happy to hear the chairman, who seems very well educated and well knowledgeable about, the systems and what's actually taking place and what's to come, and it's, I think, it's kind of encouraging to hear that, these things are coming for Eleuthera. I'm a part of Eleuthera. Kind of, back and forth there, and, happy to see that, they have some things coming online that they can look forward to. But at the same time, it's vexing for paying customers when they have to go through these type of pains, and you can't say growing pains because, like they said, this is a plant that has not been touched from Dorian, and I think, who to blame,
From Andrew?
Yeah, Andrew.
And that's another thing, Ruben and Howard. I hope when this new build out is on stream, maintenance is strictly enforced.
Yeah.
The problem is, first I smile, I say, everyone in the Bahamas should be saved because this heat wave should cause everyone to run from hell and seek the cooling grace and salvation of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for God's sake. But when we look at the BPL matter, we must realize that the current pain does not dissipate or alleviate the legitimate frustration that existed, the pre-existing condition with BPL. And in the midst of this, it's sad because we want an immediate relief, which is just simply give us the service we've been paying too much for, which is being too unreliable, which doesn't have the level of protections that we should have when you mess up my appliances. I got to adjudicate you and go through hell to be properly reimbursed. And when your policy does allow me to be reimbursed for all my groceries that I lost, you say up to $750, and my appliances, I got to go through all kind of hell. But now we're to a point that we're dealing with the immediate, and I love how you expressed it, Shanique, with the chair lady. We're looking for this immediate thing. You asked her for a timeline because that's what the people wants to know. When you can fix this problem that you're still going to be working on. And the final issue is, when we look at the deals that has been surrounding with BPL in recent term, it still creates tremendous fear that even if everything else is done properly, everything comes on stream, we will still be, or should I ask a question, will we be still paying through our nose for electricity?
Well, if we are to go by what Grand Bahama is saying, then we hope not.
Well, Shanique, I'm really sorry that this is happening to any Bahamian and all of the Bahamians that it's happening to. And I just want to say, a special thank you to those BPL workers that are out there overnight working in Eleuthera and parts of New Providence and everywhere else in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Thank you so much for the hard work. But I'm disappointed in the government of the Bahamas tonight. I didn't say the Davis administration. I didn't say the PLP government. I'm disappointed in the government of the Bahamas. And that's my government. And it's the government of the Bahamas, and it belongs to all of us. I'm disappointed because I have an expectation. I wouldn't be disappointed if I didn't have an expectation in them. You see, Minister Colby Davis, I gave her kudos in this new term and even before, and I will continue to do that. But they dropped the ball, and here's why I say that. The talking point is about the pike worker that died that cost us 8 weeks. I didn't hear Miss Colby Davis mention that on the campaign trail at all, on any rally stage. I didn't hear we might not get anything done because it might cost us 8 weeks because of the death of the worker. And that happened before election took place. So I didn't hear that then, and I don't want to hear it now, because down in Governor's Harbor is my 86-year-old grandmother. Down in Governor's Harbor is an aunt of mine, so this personal, that's in her early 80s, and two other aunts who are in their mid to late 70s, and everybody else who I know, friends, relatives, people who I've grown up with, who I know that I've been talking to, as you know, Shanique, all day to day, on WhatsApp, on calls and everything. We have to do better. We could pull hundreds and hundreds of notices that have come out in the last 6 years. So I'm going to talk about my government that's been here for the last 6 years. And in those notices, Governor Saab is going to go off for 3 hours so that we can upgrade and fix lines and do this. We have heard that continuously over the last 6 years. And when you do these things to upgrade and fix stuff, it is done with the expectation that the pain points are going to be reduced and somewhat done away with, and we're going to see results that are better. But when
you're right. This has been happening.
The same problems.
Exactly,
that's
Howard.
A problem.
Yes, and this has been happening now forever. Remember, the gentleman said, and the chairman admitted to it. In fact, it was a frustrating point for her as well. Many of the systems have not been touched since Andrew. When was that? 90-something?
Many years ago.
Decades ago.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, as I asked, will there be a very strict enforced regimen that says this is how this is going to be maintained? It has to be. I don't care what we introduce.
Right, but Shanique, at some point we have to see results. Okay, if 5+ years of stuff that my government has been doing, right, to the grid, to generation, to increasing capacity and power, why are we still seeing even worse in some cases? Like, give us an area that's the test case that is better, that demonstrates to us that things have gotten better than they were 6 years ago, right? Give us that area that's the test case. But we still see the same thing happening over and over again. When you say, as a talking point, it was corrected in under 23 hours, man, let's count from 1 to 60. That's 1 minute. And let's count from 60 to 1 hour, and on and on and on. You know what 23 hours with
23
no
hours
light
is,
with 100
listen,
degrees?
23 hours is a doggone
Let's go,
situation.
man.
Howard, but I'll tell you this.
I ain't interested in no more excuses.
Yes, absolutely. Colby Davis did say, though, on the show before election about the Pike incident and the fact that that changed a whole lot in the operations and the work that was going on. She
We didn't hear that on the rally stage. We didn't hear that at UB when they had the nice little meter and was checking off stuff. We didn't hear that, so I won't hear it now.
They did. They didn't mention it, you're right, and it kind of just,
but you know,
lights weren't going off then. How about that? Yeah.
But you know, Shanique, when you talk about LNG and you talk about solar, you know, these are all, this is nothing new, you know. So it's kind of old technology. The thing is, you know, what are we now purchasing? We're investing in LNG plants, we're investing in solar plants, but what technology are we investing in inside of these type of new, what to us it's called new, but at the end of the day, and this has been our problem, and across a lot of our utility companies, we buy old technology.
Let's hope not. I'll tell you this.
And I'm not saying that it is, but I'm just saying this is what we need to ensure that we are not doing.
And I don't think so, because to their credit, they have been on this, they have made themselves available, and this is not the first time the top management of BPL have been here. And they have said that what they're doing is right where the big superpowers are. Well, not quite, but still, because there's a fighting, there's a sort of a muscling and getting your way in to be able to. But the Bahamas is right there in terms of getting now. Now I see you want to jump in, but can we just get a couple of these stories, please?
Yeah.
Can we please do that?
I need to say one word.
Go ahead.
What about resilience? I'll leave that right there.
Well, maybe a part of that is that solar.
Don't put solar and resilience together. The sports center down there, that big solar field, is it working?
Is it on stream yet?
I don't know that I ever been on came online.
Is it on?
And I can guarantee you, as long as that's been there, that's old technology.
Whenever we build in this country, resilience.
Put our trust in y'all to fix the problems.
Yeah.
Is the key thing.
Believe me, we are going to stay right on top of this. We're going to stay on top of BPL, of the minister responsible, and this administration. Yes, granted, it is a heavy lift that they have taken upon. That's something that should have been done for decades.
Yes.
But again, we're going to hold you all accountable for what you all said.
You wanted the job. You wanted the job.
You're going to hold you all accountable for what it is you all said you're going to do.
Give us the details.
Meanwhile, you all, those officers accused of extortion appeared in court today. They face charges of extortion. Linton Ritchie Jr. was there and brings us up to date.
2 Royal Bahamas Police Force officers have been charged with extortion after allegedly accepting money from a U.S. tourist in exchange for helping him avoid prosecution. 23-year-old Brianna Miller and 27-year-old Felton Turner pleaded not guilty when they appeared before Magistrate Abigail Farrington on Wednesday. Commissioner of Police Shanta Noel says the case demonstrates that no member of the organization is above the law.
We expect professionalism. We expect officers to be out there and be professional, to be honest in all that they do, to be fair in dispensing justice, to be fair in the execution of their duties. That is exactly what we expect from them.
According to information presented in court, South Florida Eric Mondello was detained after security personnel on board a Royal Caribbean cruise ship turned him over to police for alleged drug possession. Eyewitness News understands that investigators allege Mondello paid $600 to avoid facing charges. A makeshift receipt allegedly created during the transaction is said to have contained the names of both officers. The alleged scheme unraveled after Mondello reportedly filed a complaint with the Criminal Investigation Department and turned over the receipt, triggering the investigation that led to the charges. Both officers were granted bail in the amount of $5,000 and ordered to sign in at their respective police stations. A trial date has been set for September 16, 2026. Commissioner Knowles acknowledging that cases of alleged corruption can damage public confidence, but maintained the actions of a few should not define the entire organization.
Not every officer in this organization is corrupt. Officers who make sacrifices ensure that our communities are safe, and I will continue to thank them for the sacrifices that they make.
Turner is represented by attorney Maria Daxon, while Miller is represented by attorney Melvin Monroe. Linton Ritchie Jr., Eyewitness News.
Well, gentlemen, you all hear what this is and what's going on there. Those officers, I don't know if they graduate junior high because you gonna make a fake receipt but sign your real name. And I'm not in support of being dishonest and committing a crime. But then where is the dude who had the marijuana in his possession to begin with?
You know, I wanted the chairman of BPL, I want wherever they are tonight, they need to make sure the lights are off.
The lights.
They need to sweat a little bit more for a little while.
At least in that cell.
Yeah.
At least in that cell. Listen here, see how the world marked the manner of our bearing? I am sick and tired of these national embarrassment. Without national security and security, it impacts every aspect of our economy. And when our police officers, defense force officers appear to have corruption, it disrupts everything.
Yeah. But when you look at the faces, they look like very young officers, and this is what we talk about: know your recruits. We need to put stricter. We have to do something.
We need to stop interfering with the recruits. I am tired of hearing recruits that don't meet standards by the recruiter and the trainers. And politicians call in and say, "Put this person on." And rules being bent by government programs that have people in on programs that would not ordinarily qualify.
I did say, did they graduate junior high? Howard, jump in really quickly, please.
I understand that these, correct me if I'm wrong, I understand that these officers have gotten bail. I don't know why you're getting bail. You are committing offenses that you were trained to protect people from and arrest the people who are committing said offenses. You have committed those offenses. You should be held to a higher standard, right? And so when you commit these offenses and you erode the public trust and faith that has been placed in you, you shouldn't get bail. These are extenuating circumstances. The law should come down harder on these persons who are supposed to protect us from the very behaviors they're engaging in.
Well, we're going to hear of another group of officers and why they appeared in court today. Beyond the Headlines is back right after this.
Surprise Dad this week with special savings from Grand Bahama Tiles Father's Day pop-up sale. For 2 days only, Thursday, June 18th and Friday, June 19th, enjoy 15% off store-wide. Give Dad that special gift with special savings just for him. Starting tomorrow, come in and save with Grand Bahama Tiles. Call them at 352-7920. Some restrictions apply.
Welcome to Paradise Premium Foods, where exceptional taste meets everyday convenience. Right in the heart of Hurricane Hole Plaza, whether you're planning a beachside brunch, an intimate dinner, or simply restocking your favorites, we offer only the finest selection of local and imported goods, handpicked for quality, freshness, and flavor. At Paradise Premium Foods, shopping is effortless, service is personal, and every visit feels like a treat. From gourmet meals to go to organic essentials and indulgent treats, this is your neighborhood market elevated. Live well, eat better. Discover Paradise Premium Foods, now open at Hurricane Hole Plaza, Paradise Island. Paradise Premium Foods, taste the difference.
Surprise Dad this week with special savings from Grand Bahama Tiles Father's Day pop-up sale. For 2 days only, Thursday, June 18th and Friday, June 19th, enjoy 15% off store-wide. Give Dad that special gift with special savings just for him. Starting tomorrow, come in and save with Grand Bahama Tiles. Call them at 352-7920. Some restrictions apply.
Another group of law enforcement officers facing serious criminal allegations tonight, adding to a growing list of cases that have cast a shadow over the very agencies tasked with upholding the law. Here's Jose Etienne with this story from court today.
Janelle, 2 police officers and a Royal Bahamas Defense Force officer are now facing serious drug trafficking charges following an investigation reportedly sparked by a viral voice note that raised allegations of corruption. For context, here's a snippet of that audio recording that references weapons, concealment, and apparent violent outcomes, all while those speaking in the audio recordings, one of them believed to be a policeman, have seemingly adopted a disturbingly casual tone.
That was Kamagazi, but we made that look like that was planned. Man said, boy dog, but that going so quiet and clean.
Over 1 year later, that clip is said to be responsible for Inspector Alcott Forbes, Corporal Brendan Dean, and leading mechanic Raymond Russell being arraigned before the magistrate's court on Wednesday afternoon on multiple cocaine-related offenses dating back to 2021. Police Inspector Dion Barr, who prosecuted the matter, alleged that the 3 men conspired to import, export, and possess cocaine between November 1st, 2021 and March 31st, 2022. Their court appearance is believed to be the culmination of an internal investigation launched in May 2025 after that widely circulated voice note surfaced on social media, purportedly capturing a conversation allegedly between 2 police officers discussing firearms, hidden items, and other matters that raised concerns about possible criminal conduct. The recording quickly gained public attention and reignited scrutiny within law enforcement circles, ultimately leading to a formal investigation. And it fueled corruption controversy given that the voice note came months after Police Chief Superintendent Elvis Curtis and former Chief Petty Officer Darren Roker were indicted on major drug and firearm-related crimes. While details surrounding the alleged conspiracy were not outlined in court, prosecutors contend that the accused men were involved in a coordinated effort relating to cocaine trafficking during the period outlined in the charges. It's a striking development for Forbes in particular, who finds himself on the wrong side of the law just over a year after being cleared of any wrongdoing in a police-involved triple killing that left 3 men known to police dead in a vehicle just off Cowpen Road. Forbes, Dean, and Russell all pleaded not guilty to today's charges. Now, the 2 police officers have since been interdicted from duty. It remains unclear whether Russell remains an active member of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force or whether any administrative action has been taken against him. Magistrate Abigail Farrington granted each accused bail in the amount of $50,000, but the men were remanded to the Nassau Street Police Station until Thursday as bail conditions were being finalized. Attorneys Dr. K. Melvin Monroe and Jerron Roberts represented Forbes. Monroe himself stood in defense for Dean, while attorney Lilney Grant appeared on Russell's behalf. This is a story we will continue to follow, but for now, I'm Jose Etienne. Back to you, Janelle.
Well, gentlemen, another story that is quite surprising. It seems to be connected to other matters that happened earlier, but these officers appeared in court today, heard that they are up for bail, that perhaps will be finalized tomorrow. But again, just another blight on the Royal Bahamas Police Force and not painting police officers in the best light.
I have to say to those police officers out there, to you good ones, you have to do double duty now. You have to guard not only our heritage from the Defense Force, I'm speaking to them as well, you all that of sterling character must step up. You must show up. Your light got to shine brighter than this negative spotlight that these dissident persons who are part of your fraternity is shining on us. We have seen the abuses. We've seen the abuses of the weaponry and the police cars and the police plane involved in things that you have been sworn to on behalf of the Bahamian citizen to protect us from. The good officers. You know, many of you know what is going on. You must start your internal purge, protect your fraternity and protect your commonwealth. This is becoming too frequent. We have to stop this. And to the public, we are aware of this. We have to stop this. If we don't, a good name is better than riches. We don't want our nation to become corrupted in name and in character again. Mm-hmm. We have to stop this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm almost lost for words because this seems to be, it's just a continuous thing that continues to, this is our, talking about our country. And, it's sad to see that we're allowing a few to, almost bring the police force to shambles. Like Ruben said earlier, those good ones, the ones who are doing foolishness. We need to start, or you, because we as the public, we feel it also. We feel it with the corrupt ones, whether it be those trying to extort Bahamians, foreigners. You need to start handing names of those who are doing the wrong thing, and let's try and clean up our police force, because I can only imagine what the commissioner is going through. I mean, rather than fighting crime, she's fighting internal crime. It seems like all day, every day. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate, but it goes back to we need to ensure the recruits that we are bringing on stream that we need to do the vetting needs to be more, like what Atlantis does. I mean, they go and they check everything out on you.
And they recheck it following audit a few years ago to see what they did with Shanique. You know what really gets me with this further? It isn't just the incidents that are before the court, but this tarnishes the credibility of all other cases that these officers may have had their hand in.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many persons are behind bars now?
Yeah.
Because they put the drugs there, or because the person refused to pay, we say we're gonna lock you up. How many persons have been pressured and placed into situations that sell their soul because of the corruption that exists within a person? This is how serious this is. This impacts our whole judicial system.
And that's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Howard, quickly jump in very, very quickly.
Yeah, and Shanique, I think this boils down to personal choice as well. Because when we look at these officers, right, these officers were a part of a cohort, right?
Yes.
And when you look at their cohort, these officers have found themselves in trouble. And then there's a caveat. There might be officers in that cohort and others who are doing some of the same things but just haven't been caught.
Fraternity.
But in the main, I want to believe that the majority of our officers on the Royal Bahamas Police Force do what they are supposed to do. But when you look at their training, and everybody's training apparatus can be improved, okay? I live in Hillsborough County. Hillsborough County Sheriff's training could be improved right here in Florida. But at the same time, this is about personal choices. You've had your training, you've had upbringing, you know right from wrong, you know what society's norms require of us, and yet you made a deliberate choice to engage in corrupt behavior and practices that erodes the public trust associated with your profession. Look at what's happened this week, Shanique. I'll finish with this. When we look at this week, the Bahamas has been battered reputation-wise. We have the jet ski issues. We have multiple police officer corruption issues. Think about how the persons where I live and who I work with, who when they find out, hey, you have an accent, hey, where are you from? You from the Bahamas. I love that place. You think about the stop and pause that they have now when they look at Fox, local affiliate, that ran that story about the jet ski operators.
Did you see that, Howard? I sent it to you today. I think I sent it to you guys as well.
Yes.
The
when you
international
see this
media.
stuff, when these tourists see this stuff, it must give them pause. It gives them pause about wanting to come to the Bahamas, and that twinkle in their eye when they find out that, wow, I know someone who's from the Bahamas. We are being battered, and we have to understand the implications that we cause on our country's reputations, because we are all ambassadors for this country. And when we interact with people who are foreigners and tourists and visitors, and we don't show ourselves in the best light, it can be damaging to us in so many ways.
Excellent point, Howard. We all saw that article. In fact, I sent it as well to like senior government officials. Like, listen, this is how we are being portrayed in international media, and so obviously something to pay attention to and stay on top of. Yeah, it's good that these people are going to court. That means they're being weeded out, but it still it gives a bad image and reputational damage for the Bahamas and the police force. I thank you all very much. Of course, at the top of tonight's show, the Chairman and Chief Operations Officer of BPL. Thank you both for being here. And the Hot Topics panel, Michael Turnquest, Ruben Raming, and Howard Johnson. Thank you, gentlemen, as well for being here. And to all of you for tuning in this evening. It's been good having you hang out with me all hour long, and I look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.